We are going to practice finding the slope from a table. Now there are two options with finding our slope from a table. Option number one, choose two ordered pairs from the table and use the slope formula. Reminder, the slope formula is where you take y2, like the second y minus the first y, over the second x minus the first x. That's our slope formula. Or you can use a pattern to find the change in the y values, then the change in the x values. So this is where you'll see change in y over the change in x. Okay. So pause here and get that copied if you have to. All right, so we're just going to jump in and take a look at some samples. So we're going to find the slope. We're going to use both methods so that you can see how each of them work. Sometimes one is better than the other, but that's up to you to figure out which method you prefer or when to use the method. So for the slope formula, we pick 2 points. It can be any two. I can pick two that are right next to each other. So I could pick 310 and 620. I could pick 310 and 930. You can pick whatever 2 points you want, but focus in on 2 points. Remember, this is just an ordered pair, x, y. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick these two. And remember, our slope formula is the second y minus the first y over the second x minus the first x. So here are my y's. So 20 minus 10 over 6 minus 3. I get 10 thirds. My slope. Now, if we want to use the second method of finding the pattern, it's basically all we're doing is finding the pattern. Okay? Change in y over change in x. Now, we know that they're linear, so I don't have to check patterns. I can pick a start and an end and just find the pattern. So the change in y, let's look here. Basically, we're looking to see how this changes. Meant to erase there. Okay. So I want to look here and say, from 10 to 20, it goes up 10. And it continues to go up 10. From 3 to 6, goes up by 3. So my change in y is 10. My change in x is 3. So that's the second method, is finding the pattern. That's it. Let's take a look at another one. Okay, our next example here, let's use the slope formula to start. Again, we can pick any 2 points. Let's go ahead and pick these. You can pick 2 other points and see if you get the same answer as me. This should be review. So I have my second y minus my first y over second x minus first x. 1 minus 0 is going to be 1. Negative 6 minus negative 4. Let's add the opposite. Negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. Sorry. So my slope is 1, negative 1/2. Okay. And then we can use a pattern as our second option. You can start anywhere to look for your pattern. Negative 1 to 0, the pattern is that you increase by 1, and that does continue increasing by 1. On the x's, this is where sometimes you've got to be very careful that you're understanding how numbers work on a number line. Because if we went from 2 to 4, it would be an increase of 2. because the numbers are getting larger. But when we're dealing with negatives, it works the opposite. So be very careful finding the pattern. Okay, people think, oh, why would I not find the pattern every single time? It's way easier. But you have to be very careful. If this is money in your bank account, if I have negative $2 today and I have negative $4 tomorrow, my bank account is decreasing by 2, isn't it? So be very careful when you're dealing with negatives on these tables. Take your time and be careful. Our pattern on the left is actually the numbers going down by 2. So again, my slope is negative 1/2. You should get the same answer no matter which method you use. So be very careful. Let's find the slope again. Let's use the formula. I'm going to go ahead and grab these points that have 0, 0 because I think the math will be faster. Second y minus the first y. Second x minus the first x. 2/3 is my slope. Change in y over change in x. Let's look at the pattern. This is easy still to go from the zeros to the 2. Increases by 2, my y's. My x's increase by 3. So 2/3 is still my slope. Now I want you to try this one on your own. So hit pause, try this on your own. Okay, you should have gotten your slope as -1, no matter which method you used. Okay, got one more thing to try. Complete the table so that the slope of the line is 3/4. So that means my change in y, that little triangle means change. You've probably seen that a few times. So the change in y has to be 3 and the change in x has to be 4. So if I look at a pattern, my x's have to increase by 4. My y's have to increase by 3. So it's basically just finding your pattern and doing the math to find the numbers. So I'll take what I know. I know there's a 4 right here. So 4 plus 4 would be 8. What would have to go up in this box so that when I add 4, I get 4? So we're kind of just working backwards. That would be 0. On the y side, my change is 3. So -2 increasing by 3 is 1. 1 increased by 3 is 4. 4 increased by 3 is 7. So you have to be able to go the other direction too and fill in the table from the slope that you're given. And that's it.